Now, I have said, and this is true, that I don't necessarily like doing critique videos and I wouldn't call them attack videos, but negativity around certain topics, just because I feel like I am more of a creator in the positive sense than I am a critique in the negative. But critique is an important element of life, and you'll have to get used to delivering it as much as you are hearing it, as much as you are perceiving it. And I think it's a healthy way to construct feedback mechanisms around your own actions and how you've been performing. I think there's no progress without fail, there's no strength without suffering. Things must be overcome, and sometimes it's extrinsic rather than intrinsic elements which provide the galvanizing force towards improvement. So this video stems today because I had a look at some similar YouTube videos around Nietzsche and his will to power. I'm obviously fairly heavily affected by a lot of Nietzschean philosophy, so it's important for me to get an understanding of what's already delivered into the internet, so I'm not doubling up, tripling up on information that you can get anywhere. And I was obviously still bombarded with particularly YouTube videos on Nietzsche and his will to power and what he discusses in Strength and how his understanding of overcoming and becoming the Übermensch is. Now, most of these videos did not have someone talking on camera. They were mostly just videos in the animated sense. So it's hard for me to compare those people. But I was heavily disappointed because when I did see a video with someone, they were mostly giving a lecture on the tenets and the principles and the findings in Nietzsche's work, and then B, they looked like this. And I've just taken some screenshots of at least men familiar with Nietzsche, which to me is this almost inexcusable reasoning around why you look like this and how you feel comfortable and not like a hypocrite, both knowing and admiring Nietzsche to this extent and being almost scholars, and then having us perceive you to look and be like this. So to me, I just wanted to almost do not a call out video, but just to highlight that at least on my channel I try to live my philosophy, and if it's one of force and power and virtue, then that has to be a reflection of your will. It comes from in here in the soul, and it has to be something that you do every day, not just talk about. And you don't beg for e-bucks, and you don't do all these sniveling cowardly things. Because when I listened to all of these videos, which was fairly horrible to have to abide, most of them you could tell, and I say men, but they're these slave mentalities, obsessed with things like credentialism and almost a conceited braggadocio around, look at what Nietzsche tells you, how impressive and profound it is. If it was profound, it would make you not look like absolute weakling pencil necks, wouldn't it? I mean, I think the tremendous amount of approval complex that must be residing in these, I don't want to call them YouTubers, in these guys' minds is astounding, and it's unfathomable. It literally is beyond my comprehension how you could go into a work like Nietzsche and not fathom and have it, I want to say enlighten, but energize you in a way that makes you want to be the powerful man he's telling you can be, rather than living with all these spooks. And you can see all this, how spookified these guys are. It's just swarming with these ghosts and their phantasms in their brains. Some of them are excusable, and some of them you could say are not necessarily Faustian men, and so they won't have the life feeling of what a Faustian man has when it comes to this will to power, and then the extension of the will to infinite power, and what being and becoming actually mean truly. And I also find it dissatisfying and distasteful the way that the analysis is always done on Nietzsche. So rather than just reading his works and appreciating them for what they make you feel and how they uplift you and what feelings of greatness they can help you aspire to, you get dorky nerds sitting there pulling apart like certain meanings and having discussions in these embarrassing forums around, oh, but what did he really mean? And, oh, how can we think about this if we take an analytical perspective and we use this philosopher? And then Hegel and Schopenhauer said, sit down and look at what he wrote, and then understand that he would hate you talking about him and using his philosophy at all, if that's what you're going to look like and sound like. It's, for me, just embarrassing. I just made a contrast here as to men that Nietzsche admires and would admire versus the men who talk about him all the time online and in different forums, and obviously declare some level of expertise with his works. I'll leave you with two quotes here. So, a declaration of war on the masses by higher men is needed. Everything that makes soft and effeminate, that serves the end of the people or the feminine, works in favor of universal suffrage, i.e. the domination of inferior men. But we should take reprisal and bring this whole affair to light and bar of judgment. I know of no better life purpose than to perish attempting the great and impossible. The fact that something seems impossible should not be a reason to not pursue it. That exactly makes it worth pursuing. Where would the courage and greatness be if success was certain and there was no risk? The only true failure is shrinking away from life's challenges. So I'll leave you on that notion that which side of this spectrum do you think are men that have challenged life and attempted to be something great and leave a mark, a saga?